And we're all very prompt, 2 o'clock. I think we've got everybody who we expected. So I'll keep my eyes open in case we get any extras who wound up actually not responding yet. So, but this is awesome. What a turnout. Thanks. Steve, do you, I mean, I think we've kind of done our opening remarks already because, several of us have been chatting now for about 10 minutes or so, but
well, okay.
Steve, thank you for pulling this together. This is a great idea. So I want to give you the kudos for actually managing to kind of herd the cats, pick the date, force the issue. And why don't you say a few words to get us kicked off?
Yes. And, of course, it was a great idea that that Larry had way back 50 years ago that led, to a great league beginning at the McAlpin Hotel in New York. And so, there's untold amount of enjoyment and pleasure that has come to so many of us over right now we're in the fall league season. It's the 99th season if you count both, and both then leagues, yeah. we're going to be headed to the 100th. So and I was a little nervous this morning because I was not sure, Larry, I knew you were getting all my emails and it would show, received, but I was thinking, oh, is Larry really going to be there? So, and you look great, Larry. And I had some trouble. I was trying to use my wife's computer and it wouldn't work. And so I'm on my cell phone. And so pardon me for not having video, but that picture is what I look like. And you look very young, Larry. You look great.
Oh, thanks a lot. I'll be 74 next month.
All right.
Wow. So well, the second, because if we rank order, you come in just behind Mr. Alexander, I believe.
And who is here? Because we got Harold, right?
Can you not see? We've got everybody we expected. Steve, we got Larry, Harold, Dave Marks, yourself, me, Tom, Paul, and Brian.
Okay, and now I think we're going to have video here. My wife figured out a way on her computer.
Yeah, so I just got another alert saying you were joining again. It looks like you're. So we may get feedback for a second if you're on.
Right. So what I'll do is.
I'm sorry.
Recording in progress.
There we go. Boom, 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 boom. Perfect.
So I'm gonna shut off my cell phone, and then we get the video going here.
You broke it?
Uh-oh.
You're still muted, Steve. I'm assuming that'll change in a second.
Larry, where are you living now?
Right now, I live in New Windsor, New York, which is about 70 miles north of New York City.
And you moved up there, what was it, in the 90s or so?
Yes. Just before the Rangers won the Stanley Cup, but we're not going to go into
And you've been at the same place, or you moved around? I remember you moved. Is it Dutchess County? How far north are you?
No, Orange County.
Orange County.
Yes.
And I take it you've been retired for a while?
5 years full time, but I still work part time. I do that work online.
I lost the sound here.
We can hear you.
Yes, Steve.
Well,
I'm gonna tell.
Yeah, now is it? Okay, we're good now.
Oh, you got it.
You guys can see me, I hope.
We see you and we hear you.
We got you and your wife too, and your picking knife.
That was the second spousal sighting because we had Helen Fishel before too. So, Larry, are you still involved in chess as well? Because I know Tom is, and I know was that the original connection? Is that how you and Tom originally met each other?
No, we met each other through the league.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes.
Well, that was one of the questions I wanted to throw out there because Paul, I asked him yesterday, and he could not remember how. I mean, he knows that he responded somehow to you to get involved in the league in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
In those days, was that strat-o-matic review, or how did you guys manage to find each other?
No, well, what happened was that Tom applied to my ad on the league. As a matter of fact, that's how I met all the managers.
Was that, and when you say the ad, that was the strat-o-matic review was already in place, or?
Yes.
Okay, so there was.
That's what I remember hearing about it the first time.
Okay.
Hmm.
But you were not one of the originals, right? I think the only true originals here are Paul and Larry, right?
Larry.
And then
Yeah.
you and Tom are the next, I think, the next wave. I'm not sure which of the two of you came.
Yeah, Harold was close by there. I think Mr. Fischel was there too.
Well, Harold told me about the Spring League, and that's how I joined.
And then you left
Yeah.
for several years and came back in with an expansion team.
Correct, because we had kids,
Right.
and it was too much to be in two leagues.
And you know, Brian, you actually, your original team, I believe, was the Outlaws, which later became my Aram Gelhar, and then I took that team.
Yep.
Well, have we done like a roll call of people here, or are we good?
We're good.
I think we've heard all the voices
We can
already.
see everybody.
So Larry, would you like to kick it off with any reminiscences and highlights and words of wisdom that we can keep with us between now and the 75th anniversary?
And I'd love to hear about that initial meeting, how you picked the
Yeah.
hotel and how the day went.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna rehash what Steve emailed people, but the reason why I had the league was because I wasn't happy with how the league in which I joined failed out. The commissioner did not send out newsletters often. We didn't know what was going on. And I decided either put up or shut up. So I decided to give it a try. I just want to note that the original strat-o-matic league back in 1974 was not the first one. We had something called the pre-ESSOM League, or ESSOM, as some people pronounce it, in 1973. Paul remembers that league.
Yeah, we fell
And it
apart,
was more
unfortunately.
as an experimentation, saying that if I ran the league successfully, then I would try to run a league in which people could retain players. That's in 1974, which is today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, February
We got it
17th,
literally to the day.
exactly 50 years.
Exactly. No,
Wow.
we were at the Hotel McAlpin. I just had a chess tournament in that hotel, in the room, and I said, why not? We had 9 out of 10 managers there, so they came.
Right.
And it was strange. It was surreal because I couldn't believe we can get 9 managers out of 10 joining the league.
Does that
And
mean they
one
were
on the
all
phone.
within New York Metro, or did anybody drive in from further than that?
No, at the time we were all in the New York metropolitan area, except for Tim Faust, who lived Lakewood, New York, which is near Buffalo.
And is he the one that provided the list? Oh, you had him on the phone or just had a list?
On the phone.
On the phone.
Wow. And which back then probably ran up a good, what?
No. It was, that's right. It was on the phone, right?
Yeah.
That was pre-cell
So,
phone. That was expensive.
Yeah. Well, what we did was we drafted, and then when it was Tim's turn, we'll call him.
Mhm.
So it wasn't that he was on the phone continuously. That would be absurd.
Yeah, no good.
But even with that, I mean, nobody had a cell phone. It's like, trying to find a phone at a hotel for that, that's still not very easy. That's still a pain in the butt.
I used my hotel, the room in the phone in the hotel.
Okay. It's still, I'm sure it is
Yeah, it's
expensive.
still expensive.
Sure it
we didn't
added
have
up.
Zoom or anything like that at the time. And I remember that Paul picked Mike Schmidt. And I
16.
said, what the hell was he doing? I mean, I was saying he batted, I think, below 200, if I'm not mistaken.
196.
But, yeah. And what happened was Mike Schmidt used to kill the Mets. And I'm looking at this, I'm saying, what was Paul doing? And I have to give you credit. You made the right choice. And the rest is history.
I think I had Bando. Oh no, he came in the American League supplement at the end. I think I had Ron Say. I picked him up, I think, in the original. He was my first.
Yeah.
And then I took Schmidt, and then in the supplement for the American League, I took the Salbando. So
Yeah,
I was covered.
you always had a power team.
Yeah,
So,
that
yeah.
was my, well, yeah, but look who I took with the first pick,
Except for Tom
Seaver.
Seaver.
Tom
And
Seaver.
that literally
Yeah.
was the first pick. Did you have the first pick in the overall draft?
No.
Oh gosh.
Do you remember who went first?
It wasn't me. I went last.
I'm just trying to picture. I'm thinking back 73. Who would have been the natural kind of first player to take?
Somewhere I have the list.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd have it. I should have thought earlier to look for it because I do have the list and the original one that I wrote down.
Well, when you find it,
I'm
one of these days
misleading.
you'll find it.
It just had my name, my team on it. I didn't have the whole,
Yeah.
I don't think it
together.
was in there, but Larry, you put together, and I think maybe in 81 or 82, and I know it's in a box in my attic. I still can picture it had like a yellow kind of binder on it, an
Yes.
encyclopedia that went through the first 10 or so years of the league with every owner, listing the records, the team name, and there was a lot of turnover, not surprisingly, a lot more than we had recently. But you were an absolute machine in terms of putting out newsletters. It was phenomenal.
I wish we had the internet back. Oh, actually we did, but it was in the military. It wasn't access to the public at the time.
Yeah.
And so,
but I mean, just the idea. I mean, like you said, you'd put up or shut up, but you were just.
You guys can hear me, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that.
We just
Okay, great.
weren't talking much.
no,
But
you
yeah,
know,
just-
okay, I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No,
because, like, it's
Well,
12
you're,
minutes.
You're the guest of honor. Go for it.
Okay, okay, fine. So I remember the draft, and also this is off on the side. Some of us were handicappers. At least we thought we were handicappers in terms of going to keeping track of horse racing. So we had a Belmont Day, believe it or not,
Yep.
every Saturday during the Memorial Day holiday. Do you remember that, Paul?
I remember going to one. I with Lloyd. Lloyd was there.
Mm-hmm.
You.
Tom Perella, I think was
Yeah,
there.
I went to one too, at least one. May
Yeah.
have only been two.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was a great. I thought that was great. And then that was when the pigeon shit on me.
Oh,
And then I won the very next race.
Mhm.
Ooh, yeah, $22 horse.
Yeah, Paul was good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I
And then
remember right after I joined, you sent me some photos from that. And that was like, I mean, again, in the old days, that just kind of really helped to cement kind of the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. And also, some of us, this was way back, we played street hockey. Steve played in that game.
right, I remember.
So,
And I remember a softball game too, one time.
I wasn't playing in that because I was not good in softball.
But street hockey, I remember I wasn't good in that because,
Yeah.
I just wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Larry, I met you at a Mets game with John Babbitt. And I thought Harold was there, but he said no.
The Met,
We went to a Mets game.
yeah. Mm-hmm. No, Howard wasn't there. No, he wasn't there. But it was crazy because we would go to Shea Stadium and we would root for our players on our strat-o-matic players. And people thought we were absolutely out of our minds. Like, what are these guys doing? And you look up at the scoreboard and it was good. It was.
Well,
I remember
given
a
us so
Belmont
much-
Day. I remember a Belmont Day where we combined the Empire State Strat-o-matic League with the hockey league that I was running. And the Paldino brothers were there.
Yes.
Tony
Mhm.
And
Joe?
Paul, I'm pretty sure Paul and Tom were there, I thought.
I was there only one
But it was the
time.
only time I went to Belmont.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was a long trip for you, Harold.
Yeah, well, it was like 3 hours from Delaware, so it
Whoa.
wasn't too bad. Hey, I live in Texas. I know I'm used to long trips now.
No
Yeah,
more
Harold
meetings.
and I live only 90 minutes from each other because I live in Kendall County, Texas, in Bernie, Texas, which is about 90 minutes from Austin. I've been here since 2021, but so Harold, you and I got to, get touch base in person one of these days,
Yeah, one of these days, sure.
Mhm.
Larry, are you still
Um,
doing the chess thing too? I know Tom's still involved in chess.
Right now, I mean, I have time to run tournaments. We have a scholastic chess league in this area, and I help with the chess tournaments. I also put together a website. It's not
Oh.
fancy. Put together a website, kept stats, and ran tournaments.
When you say scholastic, these are actually high school affiliated teams? Like
High school or middle school. Well, we call them
Wow.
middle school here, from
Wow, okay.
6 to 9 to middle
6 to
school.
9.
Monroe, Woodbury,
Yes.
because of that website, that's how I found you back in 2022, because you had you were one of the contacts, and I knew LD King 1313. I knew that was going to be somewhere in your email address, and then I found it on the chess website.
You saw the website.
Yeah, I saw it today because I was panicking that you might not be here, so I sent you a bunch of extra messages. So
Yes.
don't get mad at me on Monday if your neighbors are coming saying, "Are you all right?" This guy is.
He said for a wellness check, yeah.
No. I appreciate that. I apologize for not answering. Okay, let me look at my notes and look at something else here.
Anyone know? I mean, some of the other old timers is Lloyd. Any been in touch with Lloyd Douglas?
I haven't spoken with him in about 20,
Okay.
yeah, about 20 years.
Just
Yeah.
think, we were just saying, John Babbitt, I think, is the the most elder statesman, I guess. That I mean, in terms of years of ESSOM, we've got Paul and Larry here, but I think John,
Yeah.
which said, is over 90, right?
Yeah, and at
That's about right. Yeah.
last I heard, John was alive, and when I went to New York about 10 years ago, with my wife, we went with him and his wife to see a Broadway play.
Oh,
But now
really?
that's some time ago. But I did see on Facebook a couple years ago that, that somebody was, having a birthday party for him over 90,
Wow.
Yeah.
God
I
bless.
forgot to mention also, in strat-o-matic, we went to the strat-o-matic convention. That's when I met Glenn for the
Yep.
first time.
Yeah, I was already in the league. I think I had just started, and you came, and I remember I picked you up at the airport, and it was
Yes.
being held at
That's-
Northwestern University, and we went down
Mhm.
went there.
And it's funny because I had forgotten to put the airline company. I put everything else, time, date, and Glenn said, "Oh, by the way, Larry, you forgot about the which airline are you flying into?" Oh, that will help.
Again, not as easy back when you don't have a cell phone to say, by the way, where are you?
Yeah. No, I just, the league just came early, too early for websites, and even the BBS wasn't invented at that time. So
Of course,
I wish
now
we had it.
we have net play where, like Brian and I, we play very often. Paul and I always used to, where we're playing live. We're both connected to the computer game, but we're playing live, but from our homes thousands of miles apart.
Well, and the true example of that, and unfortunately he had to kind of cancel, and that was one of the reasons we're recording, is Paulo Passarello, all the way out in Italy, who's now, I forget if Larry, if you're even aware of that, we have a member from Italy now for the last, 20 some years.
Oh, really?
Being part of the league. Yeah.
This was 819, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly. And because
Right.
he was planning on
Believe me.
joining, and he discovered that his girlfriend had gotten theater tickets, and he did not know
Right.
that, and discovered that might be a bit of an issue if he said, sorry,
What's
I
more
can't, I got to
important?
talk to a
Come
bunch of
on.
baseball friends.
I've
Mhm.
played net play with him, one time, and when I was commissioner of the Spring League, then he was one of the people on the waiting list. And he
Okay.
was just one of those Europeans who like American baseball. And Italy is actually, a little bit more advanced in baseball than some of the other European countries. And so he just loves baseball, and he's been a stalwart.
He's a big St. Louis Cardinals fan. I never found out why that was the team he picked, but he's a big Cardinals fan. And you can be sure that if somebody has an Italian name, you
He'll
can get 'em
draft
late in the draft.
Has he ever been to London to watch the series over there?
That's a good question. I have to.
Yeah.
I think he would have told me if he had, but I'll have to ask him that.
Okay.
And they're going to play in other countries, you know. I think they're going to do one in Spain or, you know, in a couple of years or something like that.
Mhm.
Dave Marks, haven't heard so much from you today, but, you know, gosh, you're still a Strat-o-matic guy. I see you on Strat Fan Forum, and you know, what have you been doing lately, and where are you?
Well, I'm still in Delaware, retired now.
Mhm.
As far as reminiscence of the league, I guess I'd start out by saying that Paul would certainly consider me a short timer, since I only managed for about 20 seasons in the spring league and 23 in the fall.
And
And
ran the fall league, right?
Yeah.
I was commissioner of the fall league after Harold. So Larry, and then Harold, and then I.
Good job, too.
Yeah. Mhm.
My first memory of the league was the draft. I started out in the draft, and I remember Harold calling me and saying it was my turn to make a draft choice. And my first pick ever was Andy Pettit.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And Harold said, "There's a lot of Yankee fans in this league, and they're not going to be happy with you."
Mm.
Well, I'm still a Met fan. God knows it was a tough year, I tell you. But I was one of the few Met fans who agreed on dismantling the team. I said, this team is not going anywhere. And it didn't. And unfortunately, we had to pay the highest luxury tax. And we'll be paying that until 2026, 2027. And you know, the Mets brass were saying that the Mets could come back and be competitive in 2024, 20. They're lying. It's going to take them more time to do it. I'm sorry. I'm a Met fan, and people know I don't speak with my emotions. It's going to be at least 2026 before they really win, unless something strange happens.
baseball's known for strange things. You never. How often do you get in the city to see games?
Oh, I saw 4 last year.
Oh, really?
I'm planning on seeing some more. I'll be crying, but I'm also a Jets fan, so that really, I mean,
Oh, my
no.
Oh,
goodness.
my God.
We're so sorry to hear that, Larry.
That's even rougher.
You don't root for the Knicks, do you?
no, I root for the Rangers.
Oh, the Rangers,
Yeah,
okay.
but the Rangers they're a couple years away. They're not going to win the cup this year. They have to find something. No, I'm not a Knicks fan.
But the Rangers are playing decent at least now, this season.
Yeah.
So we'll see what, like you say, maybe a year or two, but hopefully they're in the right direction.
An interesting thing, the Rangers, of course, they finally won the Stanley Cup in 1994, right? And Mark Lazewski was a New York Rangers fan, but you folks know he passed away in March of 2023. And when I had been contacting him about this event, but then his wife told me that he passed away. Well, anyway, it turned out by coincidence, if some of you may remember, that on the day that the Rangers finally won the Stanley Cup, he had a no-hitter for the Port Rupert Crabs by David Cohn. I don't remember for sure who his pitcher was, but he had a no-hitter and some big success in an ESSOM game at the same time as the Crabs. And so even after all these years, he still has the most spring league titles. Rest in peace, Mark, great guy. but he won 7 times, you know, and we got Brian here, and Brian holds the Fall League record with 9, but overall has won 13 championships, 9 in the Fall League, 4.
Wow.
Dave, you
That's a
and him
dynasty
tied
right
at
there.
12,
Yeah.
right? You and him were tied at 12. He's got 13, but like I said earlier this week, he still has a long way to catch up to the New York Yankees World Series. But Paul has totally almost doubled Connie Mack's record with 95 seasons.
Yeah, Connie called me the other day, was upset.
Can I say something about Mark Lazewski?
Yes, please.
When we had the expansion draft, I don't remember the other manager, but he was a Susquehanna River Bandit.
Yep, George App. Yep.
Okay, so Mark, George, and I met in Lancaster, Pennsylvania at a Hardee's, and Mark had all the current members' teams that were protecting players, and so George went first. I don't remember who he took. I went second. I think I got Sosa in that draft on the Cubs, but he was the one that handled the draft. So like, if I took a player from, you know, Tom's team, he had the next like 3 or 4 players that were protected that we couldn't pick from.
And I remember when you mentioned the Rangers also, excuse me, Steve, he told me once, because he was such a big Ranger fan, that he said that when they won, that was, and he was amazed that was even more important to him than the Crabs titles, which I thought was pretty phenomenal. Now, Paul, you're the one that got him in the league, right? You guys knew each other from the Postal Service?
He worked in the post office with me, and we, you know, I used to talk about the league and all the stuff and the games and how much fun I had in it. And he said, well, you know, maybe I'd like to get involved if there's an opening. So I kept him in mind, and something came up and I brought him in, and he beat the crap out of me all the time.
And I remember he did it the right way too. He started with a team that was a mess, and he built from within, and he put together an absolute dynasty. And I remember because, you know, he overlapped at a period where I was living in New York, and I remember, I don't think it was a finals, I think it was a semifinals. And he drove in from, I guess it was at Harrisburg, and he came and met me, and we played at my apartment, one of the semifinal series. And I still remember because he showed up wearing a T-shirt that said, "Don't bother me, I'm crabby," with a big picture of a crab.
Well, he had a good friend.
Rocky
Carlo.
Rocky. When Rocky passed away, I think it took the joy out of the league from. And I remember him and Rocky with the notes they used to put together. That's why they had the dynasties, because they used to really I mean, I thought I paid attention, but these guys were phenomenal. They used to pick these players that you know, I think I heard his name once, but boom, he's a star all of a sudden, you know. They were good.
And not only that level of research, but just the level of kind of involvement and spirit they brought to the league.
Yeah,
really great.
That's true.
Dave, I hear that you're still active on StratFan. Are you still in other leagues, or how do you stay involved?
No, I'm not active in Strat-o-matic anymore.
Okay.
Okay, well, I just saw your name on the, you know, as one of the members of StratFan Forum, but
I thought maybe you were still posting regularly. That's why I wondered. Harold, how about you? Are you still playing?
Yeah, kinda. I told Steve I could probably talk for 30 minutes, and I would do about Strat-o-matic, but I'm currently in a league. I got sucked into it by a friend that I play board games now, all kinds of different board games. And so he said, "Hey, I'm in this Strat-o-matic league that sounded interesting to me." So they call it the Continuing League. And a bunch of them started with as far back as you can go with where every season is printed. I think it was 1946 as they started with that league, that card set. And it's all computerized, of course, but and so they drafted. But the interesting thing about it is you know what the future of every player is. So it's more of a economic league than it is playing the games. All the games are played by computer, so we go through a season in like less than 3 months. But preparing for the next draft and trying to figure out how much money to spend, league money, not real money, of course, is on each player is where the knack is.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you know, for example, we just had a draft with God, who was it? Oh, well, Clemens went for like $600 or something, and you only get $200 a year just for playing. You get $125 plus $1 for each win, plus a little bit of betting for making the playoffs. But it's really interesting, and it's kind of held my interest in Strat because of that. We're in the 1987 season now, and I'm in the semifinals. So don't know how that's going to work out, but I have a really strong team that Paul would be proud of. I got like I have 5 guys that hit over 30 homers, and then Al Daniels hit 26 in like 300 at bats.
Nice.
So
does the way that works, that's an interesting model. Do you still make the game plans, and then they all get autoplayed, or how does it work?
Oh, so we do a computer manager.
So
you know,
okay.
It's a spreadsheet that's got your lineups against righties and odd righties and lefties and odd lefties, and
it's a standard
your pitching rotation, and he just plugs it in and then does autoplay for about in blocks of like 40 games.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And if any of you guys are interested, we're always looking for managers. So
is it full 24 teams, or how many?
We are, I think, at close to 24 right now, but let's see, in 87, what were they up to? And maybe they were up to 28 teams, maybe in majors.
I can't even remember. Yeah, it might have been.
So there's not a whole lot of fat in the league, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
28 teams boiled down to 24 and get
Not
rid
an
of the real
league. Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's tough. It's kind of tough to. The hard part is they do a dice roll on how many guys you can protect. So it's four guys plus the sum of 2 dice. So the average is 11 a year.
Ouch.
Well, what will happen if you roll snake eyes at hospital?
Well, that happened one time, not while I was in the league, but it happened once, and they do it that way so that you can't build a dynasty of all these keepers every year. You're bound to have a low dice roll and lose some of them.
Wow.
So you have a core group of like 6 guys that are long-term guys.
Yeah, you had Dale Murphy.
Yeah, I had Dale Murphy. I picked him up in a trade for Rod Carew when it first started. Yeah, so you try to build this core of keepers, and anything above, say, 9 is like hit or miss. You're really taking a risk if you spend a lot of money on a guy that's your 10th man on the roster. So I don't know. It's interesting. It really is.
If you have gone from 1946 to 1987, right, in a few years, right, or whatever, several years.
They've probably been going on 10 years. Yeah.
So somewhere down the road, you're going to catch up to whatever the current year is, right? Because
and they'll start over again and do something different if we're all still alive.
If you're all, when you're dead, is usually less. You don't get as many good dice rolls. You know, I've noticed that. I wanted to point out something. You know, 2 things. You know, if I can just go give a little attention to Dave and to Glenn for a minute, because sometimes people ask me, you know, and I've been playing strat-o-matic since I was 11, you know, with my friends, you know, from 1963 on and off over the years. They say, what is your most memorable moment? Well, you know, I've had victories, defeats, whatever, but the one that I remember the most, Dave and I in the Fall League, he had the Spiders, I had the Wildcats. We met in the finals 4 consecutive years.
Really?
3 of 4.
Yeah.
And in the bottom of the 9th of one of them, I was leading
by a run. He was up in the 7th game in the bottom of the 9th. And I brought in Jeff Shaw to be my closer. And it was Jeff Shaw's real life final card. And Calvin Pickering hit a 2-run homer with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th of the 7th game. And so whether I like it or not, that's the one that is most seared into my memory, because otherwise we would have split those 4 years. But Dave ends up winning 3 out of 4 of those. And then Glenn, Glenn, at one point turned the commissionership of the Spring League over to me. Then I turned it back to him because I was running for Congress and, didn't have time and everything. But right now, I really appreciate Glenn. I like hockey, baseball, and football. I'm not a basketball fan, but Glenn tuned me into the strat-o-matic basketball game and got me in a league. And, I'm in my first season and I'm loving it. And, it's just a unique game with, a lot of strategy. So I got to give kudos to Dave, on, that you're in. I can never forget Calvin Pickering homering against Jeff Shaw. I'm sure, I imagine you remember too. But Glenn, I appreciate, that you pointed me to this basketball league. And who knows, 50 years from now, well, I guess that league's been going for a while.
Believe it or not, that league is running nearly as long as ESSOM.
Oh, I see.
Back to 77. Yeah. And I think I've told you before too, people have gotten back to me and said, wow, Steve is a great addition, because the fact that you actually do take that next
years. I said, I don't know. I don't even follow the NBA. Well, now it makes me say, okay, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, whoa, Jaren Jackson Jr. Now I'm following them. I know who they are, so.
Sometimes, and I think maybe that works out in Paulo's favor sometime too. I think Larry, like you said, you don't get emotional. And, you made a pick that I would not have made necessarily in the first round this year. And it turned out to be great. And I think it might've been because you did it purely out of analytics.
Was that Isaiah Joe or something?
No, that was a later round pick. No, it was Aaron Neesmith.
Oh yeah. I think he's, my team might stay good. But anyway.
No, your team will stay good. There's no question about that. Paul, how about you? What else you got going on these days?
I got 3 little men, my little grandsons, that keep me busy. And
how old are they now?
11, 9, 7.
Oh, they're still that young. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're right down the road?
About 7 minutes by car. Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's just enough that they can't come over all the time, but it's good that we're able to get over there, and my daughter will bring them over, for different things. We have a nice yard where we have a pond behind it, so it's nice scenic type, and the kids enjoy coming over. We play soccer in the backyard, and I have to get the liniment out after that expression of joy. But I enjoyed my time in ESSOM, and I think we might be the longest running strat-o-matic league around. I don't know if, I used to keep track of that a little bit, because some would post different things on the SOM newsletter there. And I think we're pretty much on the top of the list.
We're certainly one of them. It was when they went to the lefty-righty, in 71, that's when, leagues really started sprouting up, or I think it was 71, I might be wrong. And then so there were a whole bunch of leagues, but, how many still survive? I don't know. There may be a few others, but ours is one of the most famous, and who knows what's going to happen to our hobby or to baseball over the next 25 years. It's really, it looks like. I'm 72. I'm not retired. I think Harold and I are not retired. Harold, you're not retired, right?
Yeah.
Or are you?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
So just Glenn and I, but I think everybody else here is retired. Am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Don't say it like that, Paul.
No, oh, yeah.
No, but no, you used to tell me stories about the post office. I was, they weren't funny at the time, but they're funny now.
Yeah, no, I had, I get 28 years as president of the letter carriers union.
That's right.
And well, that was a lifesaver to one degree because it kept me off the street and off the elements for quite a number of years. Helped me get fat. But it was a good experience. My brain was working again because I had to keep these guys out of trouble all the time. So it was a good experience, and being a letter carrier, you got nothing but problems with management. Once you get out the door, you feel like you were just freed from captivity.
I see Harold has his hand up there. Harold.
Yeah, speaking of the post office, I have an interesting story that's related to Strat.
You're not going to ask me about
I can make it really long, but I'll try to shorten it. So over the years, I kind of made it an effort to get all the Strat-o-matic cards back to the early days. And I remember it was at one of the conventions that was, I don't know, where'd they meet? Akron? One year they met in Akron, Ohio. And I traded 4 sets of football cards from the mid-70s for the original first full season of Strat-o-matic cards. 1962, based on the 62 season, was the first full season. I think in 61, they had an all-star set, something like that. That's how they got started. And then I also picked up the 63 set somewhere along the line and the 64 set. And I had my original 65 set. That was the first full set I had. So anyway, I decided, they're not bringing me any joy just sitting in a box somewhere. So I decided to put the original 62 set up on auction on eBay. I think Brian knows this story, but so I can still remember, how eBay has a frenzy at the end in the last 10 minutes of the auction.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
The bids started going crazy. Anyway, it got up to $2,600.
Holy crap.
And so the guy won it, and I boxed it all up. I actually had an original game box too with the 62 date on it. I think I got it at the same time. And so I boxed it all up. I took pictures of everything, protected the cards, protected everything, took out insurance, shipped it, and he never got it.
Oh, no.
Geez.
The last time it was scanned was in Jamaica, New York. It was on Long Island, I think.
Forget it. Jamaica's
at a big distribution center or something.
Yeah, bad
and
place.
we waited like 30 days and it never got delivered. So I collected the insurance after a little bit of a hassle, but somewhere there's a pristine set of 62 cards out there that nobody knows what to do with because they don't know what they are.
Oh my gosh.
It must have been just an accident because we know that it couldn't have been any other possible reason.
Well, my theory was they saw how much it was insured for, and somebody in the postal system swiped it.
Very possible.
And then I don't, to my knowledge, the set's never shown up anywhere because again, I don't think they knew what they had.
Wow.
Yeah. And then to finish the story, last year, maybe 2 years ago, I decided I don't want any of my cards anymore. I had all kinds of hockey cards. I had all the baseball cards, including double sets from the 70s. When I was in the Empire State Strat-o-matic, I usually got 2 sets so I could form one team of all the teams in both leagues. I sorted them out.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got rid of all of them through Chris Rosen. He's a distributor he's like a brokerage for Strat-o-matic cards.
Really? I know the name, but I didn't realize he did that.
Yeah. I only got about I think he gave me about $1,200 for him. I mean, surely I paid more than that over the years, but just to get rid of them, you know, it was gone.
You
At least
made
they
out
weren't
good, Harold. 'Cause
destroyed.
I don't know if some of you remember Robert Henry.
Yes.
But he passed away some years ago. But anyway, in around 1972, 73, whatever, when they started going to the lefty righty, I got my first lefty righty set, because I had not been playing for a while, was the 72. So I wanted the 71. So he had it, but then he found out that I had the 62 and 63 original cards. So this is like 72 or 73, maybe 1973. And he said that he would sell me, he made a deal, said, I will pay you $15. I mean, I'll charge you $15 for the 1971 set, but I'll pay you $100 for the 62 plus 63. Now, here I'm just a 22, 21-year-old guy. Whoa, that sounded like a lot. So basically, we made a trade, the 71 cards plus $85 to me, and then I gave him the 62 and 63. I assume when he passed away, it's part of his estate, but when I hear the numbers that people get for those things now, I go, oh my God.
I'm also just picturing somebody with that in an estate, kind of going, what the heck do I do with these things?
Yeah, because people don't know, not everybody knows what it is.
Yeah.
Everybody got any final words? Brian, Dave, Harold, Paul, Glenn?
I had a trivia question that I threw out. Paul was not certain. I think, Brian, you were on the call at this point.
I was.
I just saw Don Gullett's obituary literally 5 minutes before we started the call.
Oh.
My
really?
memory bank said that Don Gullett was a Zodiac. Paul didn't think so. Does anybody remember? Larry, Tom, Harold, maybe most likely?
No, he was on my team.
Was he your team?
Yes.
He was a Skyliner.
Skyline. Oh.
Well, then condolences. You've got a...
Oh, well, I didn't know he passed.
Yeah, I literally just saw it in the paper. I think he passed on Wednesday, but I just saw the obituary today.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't remembered that he came to such a screeching halt, that he had, he didn't ever have like a bad season. He just ripped up his rotator cuff and went from a great year to just not pitching anymore.
Yeah.
Didn't he go to the Yankees when that all
In the
happened?
last season, he still, I don't know how many years they signed him for, but they got one great year out of him, and then it wasn't like mediocre years. It was just done.
Yeah, yeah.
Never
Well,
made it
Gullet
back from surgery.
Gullet was what, 80 something, I guess?
No, he was younger than that. I think
He was in his 70s.
74, 75. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 'cause he was done.
Harold, what you got, Harold?
I got a story about college, a couple of them, and where Brian and I met. I was a sophomore and he was a freshman on this. We lived on the same floor in the same dorm.
You didn't haze him,
And
did you?
my freshman year, I didn't play much strat, and I did okay in classes. I made the dean's list and I was doing well. I was a chemical engineer. And I thought life was easy and everything.
University of Delaware?
Sorry, yeah, we both went to Delaware.
UD, okay.
And then in my sophomore year, I started playing strat, and we formed two leagues. And we did a National League replay and an American League replay that wasn't quite as successful as I remember. But the National League replay, Brian had the Giants, maybe in the Phillies too or something. No, just
I had the Giants, and then I wasn't winning. I got frustrated. I swapped with somebody and got the Dodgers.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we played a full season, and it takes a lot of time. And my roommate and I were keeping all the stats and doing that kind of stuff all by hand, playing the games with the dice. And anyway, my cum got cut in half that semester. I hit a wall like a 2-ton truck. Oh God, it was awful.
But then you got credit for a class. Remember the
yes,
winter
that's what I was
session?
going to say.
Okay.
My senior year, we used to have at Delaware, we called it Winterim. It was between fall and spring breaks. It was like a 3-week, 4-week deal, December, January. Anyway, Charlie, my roommate, talked to a statistics professor at the university, and he got a course approved for strat-o-matic baseball during winter. It was 3 credits if you needed it. I didn't need it. But we played face to face. We had a full league of National League, the 71 cards, as I remember. Probably because 72 season wasn't out. Anyway, it was the spring. It was the fall, winter of 72, 73, between that time frame.
Was
And
that a pure
we got.
Was it a pure boondoggle for your friends, or did you wind up having some people you didn't know sign up for it?
Well, people we didn't know. We
Really?
advertised it on campus. We put flyers out, and we got 12 guys, and we met at like in a lounge at a dormitory, and we had 6 games going on at a time. We played about 9 games a day for 3 weeks. We had to go to class like 2 days a week for an hour to report on the statistics. We were comparing the actual replay versus the probability, bell-shaped curves and all this stuff of how good the game actually portrayed statistically. And it was very successul.
You should have written that one up. You should have written that one up for the Strat-o-matic Review. That sounds like it would have been a great article.
We may have done that. I don't remember, but I had the Padres, who finished like in last place in the West, and I ended up guiding them to a 91-71 record. Nate Colbert was the star.
Okay.
I remember that league pretty well.
But then it's a
Brian did not participate in that, I don't think. Right, Brian?
Right. I was trying to get some experienced student teaching.
Yeah.
So I didn't participate.
Right. But anyway, that was a really great.
But I still remember the day in 1970 when I walked into somebody's dorm room, and everybody was like, there must have been 4 or 5 guys watching Strat-o-matic being played. What the heck is going on here? And then we replayed the 1969 season.
Yep.
With in 1970. And then I got, we talked about this before it was being recorded, but Dave Marks and I worked at DuPont, and we had an opening, and I sucked him into joining the league. Big mistake for me. He was we used to play face to face at each other's homes, and he was just like Steve Barron said, he was always a tough customer. And I remember I played Harold in the playoffs. He lived in Allentown, and I drove to Allentown, and I don't remember, it was in the 80s. And I was up 3-0 in the semifinals, and he goes, "Let's eat lunch." And that was the last game I won before lunch. And I always think of that. I always think of that. I'm down. I'm up 3-0, and there's still a chance I'll lose the series.
Oh boy!
I also remember when I lived in Mississippi, I drove down to play Scott Wharton. Anybody remember his name?
Yeah, we were trying to track him down. We couldn't find him.
Yeah, he lived in Jackson, and it was a similar situation. It was a fall league, I remember, because I had Murray and Ripken. And he was up 3-1, and it could have been the finals in the fall league. I seem to remember it being the finals. But anyway, I think I won game 5. I scored over 20 runs, and it was all downhill for him after that. I had McGregor, and he did well. He won the last game. I think he shut him out. I don't know.
It's funny how you remember your strongest memories are sometimes the worst ones.
Yeah.
Steve Barron talked about Calvin Pickering. Well, my strongest negative memory is it was game 6 of the finals, and I was ahead in the final game. So this would have been the last game with me winning. I was up a run in the bottom of the 9th, and the opposing team had a runner on third with 2 outs. And he had some inept batter up, and he was really pissed about his whole situation. So he said, "Screw it, I'm going to try and steal home." So He ended up was safe stealing home. I lost the game in extra innings, and then I lost game 7.
All on a wing and a prayer.
Hey,
Steve,
yeah.
do you remember we played in the Friendship Cup one time?
Yeah,
What happened in that series? I totally forgot. Seriously.
Right. So, with the Friendship Cup was something, when all these leagues were starting to come out, and then what and then the computer game started. So I said, through the review and whatever other, avenues, I would say the champion of your league, whatever team won your league, but using whatever your league's current rosters are. And let's do a big tournament and send me your rosters. And there was 20, 30 people. But I made rules that it would have to be a league, that, was not an all-star league and so on. And they would send in their CMs, and then I would play thousands of, seasons, and then, eliminate a few teams each time till there was, 2. And then it got really popular, and I think I gave it the name, the LDK Friendship Cup, for your initials. And it went about 7 years.
Okay.
It went about 7 years. And I would, include all the ESSOM Fall and ESSOM Spring teams. But, now things are different. I mean, now, you'll hear about people that are in 20 leagues. And I think, well, how is that even possible? Well, like Harold mentioned, that there's leagues where that you're not actually playing every single game, right? The commissioner auto plays. I'm a commissioner of one league that's semi like that, where a lot of the games are done. Some of the managers don't actually play the game. And so now people are in 20 leagues, but then sometimes I worry that they're not paying enough attention to ESSOM, and they're not loving ESSOM enough. I've talked to Tom about that, and right, Tom, I mean, where are things headed anyway? But Tom was in one of the leagues, and in fact, you won one year in the.
Did I? I didn't remember that.
Play league. Yeah, I think you had the White Sox or something. I don't remember exactly. But so how are you doing, Tom? What's the latest in your life?
Oh, not bad. As Glenn mentioned, I'm kind of heavy into chess these days.
Oh.
I used to play back when I was younger, in high school and college. And then it was around the time I joined ESSOM, actually, which was 1977, that I stopped playing chess. And I didn't even look at a chessboard for about 30 years.
Wow.
And then after I retired from my first job, I kind of got back into it again. And now I'm playing, and I think the difference between me now and me when I was younger is that I used to think if I kept playing chess, I'd become like a grandmaster and I'd be good. And now I realize I'm never, no matter how much I play, there's a certain level, and that's about it. And I think I've reached it.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, yeah, Larry. But I'm in a club now.
Can you beat the grandkids now?
Yeah, right. I'm in a club now, and one of the members of the club, believe it or not, is 101 years old.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And he's actually a good player too. And he's my hero. Still plays chess, and he goes there just about every week. Still drives.
Wow.
The game of chess deserves kudos itself, because think of it, Glenn, the like we're talking about the strat-o-matic basketball. I see people will refer to, hey, it was a chess match, right?
Yeah.
If you have a tight baseball or basketball game, somebody says, wow, that was a chess. In other words, a chess match is the epitome of two people
Strategy.
mashing their strategy against each other.
I have a couple of things. Has anybody ever participated in one of these strat-o-matic tournaments where you meet on the weekend, draft a team, and then play a bunch of games?
Yet to do that.
I've done it. I did it
I
3
have.
times over the years.
I have, yeah. Long time ago.
It was quite fun. Twice in Dallas and then once at the Philadelphia airport near there. That was pretty good.
When I lived up in Seattle, I moved to Texas in 2021, but I moved in Seattle. One of the tournament organizers for the ones that are, national and all around the country, they had a lot in Portland, Seattle, LA, and I went to a few. I've been to the World's Championship where the winner gets $5,000.
Really?
You pay to get in. You pay $250 to get in, unless you've won tournaments during the year. There's a point system. And I went to New Orleans in the early 90s and, got knocked out in the first round, but you get to play 36 games, and then last January of 2023, I went to Pittsburgh where it was, they have like 60, 70 guys, and you put in a group and you play over the first 2 days, like 18 games a day, and you play everybody a certain number of games, and very intense. And these, it's like a circuit because, there's guys that's their main way of playing, strat-o-matic. And if, I did it just for the enjoyment, but they do every 3 years, the World Championship, $5,000 to the winner, and they alternate every 3 years, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, Orlando, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas, Orlando. So I've been twice to the championship, and I got knocked out in the first round. And when I lived on the West Coast, I went to some of the regional tournaments. I always got knocked out in the first round. So I don't know, but they have, very complex rules, for usage and relief pitching. And some of these guys on the circuit, they know all these things by heart.
Yep.
So they have an advantage.
They seem to be doing a good job of building up more of these regional. I know there's an Atlanta club. I don't think it's a tournament, but a regular club that's gotten together. I don't even know if it's purely baseball. It's not clear to me. I think it's kind of all sports. I've not made the effort to get together with them yet, but I'd like to think that they can build out, and I'd love to see, is that all people 45, 50 and over, or are there some younger people playing? I have no idea.
I mean, the game company is trying different things, and they're pushing, local clubs more than I've seen them in many years. And then they've come up, with the Baseball Express, which is like even simpler than the basic version. And then this Baseball Max, which is a different type of computer version of the game. It wouldn't really work for, the kind of leagues that we are usually in, but it could, they're thinking it might be, attractive to the younger people. So
I think I think they're trying to appeal to the fantasy baseball kind of mindset.
Right.
You don't want to wait to the next year. That's right. The thing I always try to explain to people when they're used to fantasy baseball is like, no, we're working with last year's statistics. They're like, well, why would you do that?
They have the card of the week or something, every now. But Brian wants to say something, I think.
Yeah, I want a special thanks to all the commissioners I'm looking at right now, and Tom for doing the stats in the Spring League. And I know Tim couldn't join us today, but I think a lot of their time is committed and underappreciated by all the league members. So special thanks to all you guys. You made our lives so easy, and really enjoyed your tenure as commissioner.
I appreciate that. I'll pass that along to Tim as well. I know he's obviously, I'm sure he'd appreciate hearing that, especially since he's kind of in a bit of a state of mourning.
Yep.
I have a question. Steve, where do you find out about these tournaments?
Well, when you order there's a few ways. One, they have a Facebook page, and it's called
Strat-o-matic Facebook page.
Yeah, and this is the tournament group itself.
Okay.
And I'll send you the link. I'll send everybody the link, about it. And then they have regional tournaments. You pay some fee to get into them. They're not officially connected to the game company, but the game company when you order a set of cards and it comes to you and it's delivered, there'll be a little flyer from it's called the Strat Tournament Players Club, STPC, and the schedule and the contact information and the cities and so on are, they're on a good term with Strat-o-matic, and because they're promoting the game. So I'll send out the link to their website and to their Facebook page after later today.
And I was going to say, I mean, I'm guessing that most of us still get the cards. I know I do. So sometime, hopefully in the next week or two, we can scan the flyer you're talking about, and Larry can send that.
If you get them delivered, now I haven't gotten the cards
really. Oh,
for
I'm the dinosaur on this one. Okay.
But because I used to do, like, I think was it Harold or somebody said how they would break, and make all 24 of the ESSOM teams, so you even get extra set, or do some way. I remember writing on an index card and then setting up all the teams, and then I would, even when we switched to computer, I would be looking at the cards and so on. But somewhere along the line, I ended up not really doing it using the cards that much.
Do you get the card image? Do you use the card image?
I got the card image for basketball, but I never got it for baseball.
Really? Wow.
And I'm fine. What I like is it does say, in the play-by-play, column 6, dice roll 8. Right. Then I have the pictures of the players, so I somewhere along the line, I stopped getting the cards, and I don't even get the card image. Some people say, oh, that's blasphemy, but now you saw the no-hitter that I finally had, right?
Yeah.
And I put in the image, when I played solo or against my brother and friends in the 60s, early 60s, I would handwrite in a notebook, right? The score sheet. I do that. Whether I'm playing net play, I always handwrite the lineups, and I write, in addition to everything else. And I still play, so if the game is complicated, it might take 25 minutes. But if there's I'm getting blown out 9-0, no substitutes, boom, the game's over in 12 or 15 minutes. But I still write out the score sheet the old-fashioned way while playing. And, that's my way of not forgetting who's up or what's going on.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Brian, I remember you would buy the ratings book. Do you get the card still, or do you base it on the ratings?
No, I just get the ratings book.
That's what I thought. What about everybody else? I'm curious. Tom?
I get the cards.
I get the cards. I'm old fashioned.
Yeah, and I'll sort my team. I finally stopped sorting the rest of the league out, but I always follow along with my team, even when I'm playing, on the computer, and I'm relying the image for the rest of the crews.
I do get the rating guy. Yeah,
I've never gotten that. I've never done that.
But if you're getting the cards, then you're doing it visually. You see the rating. Yeah. What I like is, and the Wildcats in the Fall League are no good, so I just kind of, don't worry about it. But the Outlaws are sometimes good. So, I will use the guide, and it's in Excel format, and I'll, try to put the exact perfect lineup against whoever I happen to be my opposing picture.
You do that all the time, no matter what.
I see Harold's hand up. I thought there's actually a way to raise your hand too, but
Harold,
the manual.
I think I mentioned that I play a lot of board games now. And I do it all day Sunday from like 1 to 9. I have some friends over Wednesday nights, and then I go to another place on Thursday night. So 3 days a week I'm playing board game. And these are unlike, I don't know if any of you are into these kind of board games, but it got started in 2007, roughly, with the Settlers of Catan.
Yes, okay, I've heard of that.
Settlers of Catan. Now there are literally thousands of board games out there from all kinds of, you name a topic, there's a board game on
Do you guys decide
anyway.
each week that you're going to play one specific game, or is each club like
We usually play what's hot, but I've got so many games. I've got upstairs in my game room, I've got over 300 games. So I'll pull out old games from 10 years ago because I haven't played them in a while. So I'm about ready to call them out. But the one thing I wanted to tell you is there's a new game just being released called Lords of Baseball.
Really?
And I've been following the guy. His name is Max Gemelli. He started designing the game probably 12 or 13 years ago. That's how long it's taken to refine and get it the way he wanted and play test and get it actually published. But
so it's never formally been released. It's just literally been in development for 12 years.
Yes. Wow. Yes. It's been an idea for 12 or 13 years, and he finally got some help refining some of the mechanics of the game. But it's a game where you don't really play games. You're a general manager of a team.
Oh, okay.
You build up different facets of the ballpark. You hire a different manager. That's one thing you can do. You have a certain number of star players versus regulars versus prospects versus just, I guess the regulars.
Does it lend itself to finishing in a single night, or is it something you play over?
Yeah. You could play 5 seasons. It probably takes an hour or less to play a season.
Okay.
And it's a card-driven game where the cards have multiple functions on them. So you have a spring training, and so you get 3 cards, or let's say, and you got to use them one facet of each card during spring training. Like it might say, you can swap 2 regulars for a star, or vice versa. That might be one of the options. Or you can improve your concessions for $10 or whatever the terminology or the anyway.
Is it
you're building your stadium up, and certain things that you do improve your team. So when it comes time to play the regular season, you play you play 8 teams, and you play a 22. Does that work out? 22 games against the other 7. So it's the old 154 game schedule it's the theme of the game is like the early 1900s, and that's the teams that they have. They only have 8 teams. But your team has a certain strength, the other team has a certain strength, and you each roll a die and add the number to your strength, and that tells you go to a table and it says how many of the 22 games you won against that opponent. And you do it for each of the 7 opponents, even if it's an artificial team that's not actually playing the game person. And so you get so much money for winning the season per win and kind of thing, but playing the game is not the object. It's building the team and being like a general manager.
Is there a release date? When's it coming out? You know,
the last I heard, the copies are made in China. They were sitting on a boat off Savannah, Georgia, ready to unload. That was a month
drive down. Okay.
I'm still waiting for my copy.
July of 2025.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah, it is. And you could play just one season for an hour, or you can play 3 seasons, 4 or 5. I think 5 is like the most they recommend, but I mean, you could play it all day and just play a bunch of seasons and see how it ends up.
Interesting.
It's whoever has the most money at the end.
Of course.
Yeah. Anyway, thought I'd plug the game.
Yeah. Well, if anything you got on that, send it along. We got the distribution list now, so I'd be curious to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other closing thoughts?
Let me see if I covered.
Hmm.
We haven't talked much about our families or anything, right?
What was that?
I said we haven't talked much about our families.
No.
I met my wife at the University of Delaware, and we've been together. It would be our 50th anniversary this year.
Oh, wow.
I have 2 kids, each with 2 kids now. Maybe Brian doesn't even know about the second one.
I do.
Doug had a little girl in December.
Yep.
So,
Are they down in Texas too, or where are they at?
One lives in Texas, the other lives in Columbus, Ohio, outside So we go to visit them once or twice a year. And so each kid has 2 kids, and that's pretty much the story for me.
Anybody else have a family report?
Well, I got, 53, going on 54 years with my lovely wife. And I got 1 daughter, and she gave me 3 beautiful little men that keep me busy and keep me happy.
And they're the ones that moved to North Carolina first, and you guys followed, right?
Right. They moved, and when I retired, I think maybe a couple years went by. We were trying to decide what to do, and then the market all of a sudden did a dipsy doodle, so we held back, and then it came back kind of quickly, surprisingly, and we got the price we wanted, and that enabled us to get a nice start on things down here. We paid off the house down here right away, and it's
What
been
city?
nice. Been
What
nice.
city? Where are you in North Carolina?
Huntersville. It's about 15 minutes north of Charlotte.
Okay.
So I don't know. Let me see. I'm going to turn this, see if see my backyard. Can you see it?
Oh yeah. Oh, you mentioned the pond. Yeah.
That's my pride and joy there. All the swans and the geese over there, and it's fun. It's nice. Nice in the morning to wake up and have coffee and look at the pond and what's happening. So we're very happy here. It was a good move, and we lucked out. We were across the street looking at a house over there. When we were walking out, the guy was posting the for sale sign over here.
Wow.
And we went over right away, and we both liked it, and that was the beginning of that.
Amazing.
So it was nice, and I'm, like I said, very happy here.
Very good. I'm here, I'm 72. I got married at age 50, so a couple more months we'll have our 22nd anniversary. No kids. We moved to Texas in 2021. I'm not retired. I'm gonna, keep going. I have really 3 different jobs, and but on family, I played with my brother when we were not even yet teenagers, and then he's kind of opposite of me. He passed away in January, and he hated working and was glad to retire in June of 2023, 3 years younger than me. And then we would play strat-o-matic over the phone every week. He lives in Florida. He would have the cards rolling the dice for the Toronto Blue Jays 93, and I would enter the dice roll on my computer for the computer game, and I would have the 93 Braves, and we would do that every week. And then he was diagnosed with advanced cancer, and went quickly after, so he only had a very short retirement. But we had good memories this past year. Every week we would call each other on the phone, play over the phone in a unique way. And so, bittersweet, but really good memories, no bad memories. Just like, we have good memories of Mark Lazewski and other people, Russ Carney, right? Who have along the way, who have passed away. Anybody else?
Also, Ken Marino passed.
Yes.
Right, Ken Marino in both leagues, right? And for a few years after 9/11, John Babbitt and I would play, kind of a special game, and we would, contact Marino's widow, and we would, it would be an exhibition game, but it would be in honor of him, because we each had the one team that I had and team he had happened to be the original teams that Ken had in each of them.
Oh, I didn't get that.
That was just by coincidence, because I think that John Babbitt, didn't he get the, anyway, whatever it was, I don't remember it exactly, but.
That's right, no, because Babbitt had the crabs before.
Yeah, he had the crabs, which was Marino, and then Marino had Boston Oaks in which became the Wildcats. Now, the Wildcats I have now are not the same team because, you know, I left the league for a while and came back. So, but the Wildcats that I would play Wildcats against Crabs, and, you know, and then we would tell his widow about it. But after a few years, you know, we stopped doing that. But we would do that, you know, on it, you know, once a year for a few years. Which, you know, the baseball lends itself to nostalgia and tradition and, you know, heartwarming things. Maybe that's why it's not so popular anymore. I don't know, you know, but, you know, I'm always looking, you know, that's, you know, in my write-ups of the games, you know, I want to write them up like like it's 1966 again, you know.
It's part of the fun.
Well, I think baseball will bounce back because of the new rules, which I love.
They helped.
I was my nephew and I were at the Seattle Mets game, and the game took 2 hours and 10 minutes. And it reminded me of when I was younger, in my teens, the games would take that long, and that was so great. The only thing I don't like is the runner on second base in extra innings.
Yeah,
I hate that.
Don't like that at all.
Now the ESSOM Fall League doesn't use that rule, you know. The ESSOM Fall League, on the one hand, they went into you know, we've gone into the pitch count and the things in the computer game that are not, you know, the same as the cards on the pitch count and the different way of having the pitcher's fatigue. But on the other hand, we're not using the ghost runner, extra inning.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know, kind of an interesting and, you know, now the two leagues are a little different in the way the games are played. But,
although ironically, it used to be different because the American and National were different on the DH, but those two.
Right.
Brian, did I see your hand up?
Yeah, I was just wondering, I think I know the answer to a lot of this, but I was wondering who your favorite team is. I know Harold is the Orioles, I'm the Giants. Tom's has to be the Red Sox.
Yeah, I'm a diehard. And
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of dying.
Sorry, I drafted Betts and Petroria.
Larry is a Mets fan.
I'm a White Sox guy.
White Sox?
White Sox, that's right.
Wow.
That's
I know.
right.
Talk about tough.
White Sox. I thought you were Braves.
Paul, you're a Yankee fan, right?
Yankee fan, true blue.
I'm a Yankee fan since Johnny Blanchard was my next door neighbor when I was a little kid.
Oh.
So yeah, you know, I was just a little kid, and you know, the second game I went to, he hit the game-winning home run. You know, and he would, but baseball players were just regular people then, right? They just be next door. They get a different job during the off season. You know,
We weren't making the same money.
But I'm a
Tom,
Yankee fan. Mantle, Maris, Pepitone, Boughton, Blanchard, Kubek, Richardson, you know.
Yeah.
Who was the White Sox? Dave, you're the White Sox fan?
That was me.
No, Glenn.
That was Glenn.
Glenn is a White Sox.
I think that might surprise people, but if you know, for those who weren't in the league with me at the very beginning, Park Ridge is actually a suburb of Chicago.
Right.
Where I was for the first 6 years in the league and thought I was going to be there the rest of my life. And then I wandered a little bit for graduate school and a couple jobs, but now I've been in Atlanta since '95. And I am a Braves fan, but I mean, I think my hometown affinity is a little lessened, but I'm still a kind of a you know, Chicago sports fan first in terms of most of my loyalties.
Dave, so which is your favorite team, Dave?
The Dodgers.
I got you. Okay.
When I moved to Austin, we looked at a house, Tom, that was, they pointed out was right across the street from Calvin Schiraldi.
Oh,
You
wow.
I
you
remember
remember him? He pitched,
I
I think
remember
he
him.
pitched for University of Texas and then he pitched for the Red Sox.
Wow.
Seems like he
1986.
gave up a big home run somewhere along the way, but I don't remember the details now.
Didn't he throw the wild pitch before Buckner's error?
Yes, yes.
Maybe that was it.
Mm.
He should get a lot
1986.
more blame for that game than Buckner seems to get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But Buckner should have been removed, you know.
Well, they even said they left him in because they wanted him to be out to celebrate.
I
Yeah.
know that, but the
But
man.
no, it's a wrong move. No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, it was a non-move that should have been made.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Glenn, you should be happy because, well, in the 20 teams, the Blackhawks won 3 Stanley Cups.
They had a little scandal that came out after the fact that kind of tarnished it a bit. But I was almost, I think, a little like that with the way that Mark Lazuski was with the Rangers. I mean, that was a long time coming, and I'd kind of disconnected from hockey for a while, but had reconnected a couple years before that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't have nothing else to throw in here.
But we have all the commissioners, and then we have, the longtime members like Tom and Brian and Paul. I mean, this is really, we're really, I guess we're the hardcore. And I know it's recorded, so we'll be able to show it to the rest of the league. There are a few people who regretted that they weren't able to attend.
Yeah,
so,
they've requested it. So yeah, anybody who wants it, let me know. The file gets big enough that I'll have to use one. I use a website,
Dropbox or something.
I use something called WeTransfer.
Oh yeah, that's
anybody who wants it, just let me know, and I'll post that, and you can pull it down.
Well, all you guys are great. How many
Thank you.
tens of thousands of games, tens of thousands of home runs, and let's not wait till the 75th anniversary. Let's stay in touch from time to time.
Absolutely.
It's a special honor to Larry King, because what you did set off an amazing. I mean, it wasn't just a league. It wasn't just a great game. It was a well done league, and then you set the mold for Harold and Dave and Glenn and me, so it really it's Paul expresses it the best of how much satisfaction he got, but it's really true for all of us, and I'm sure for lots of other, Ken Kebesick and John Babbitt and Herm Geller and Scott Wharton and Glenn Keenan and all kind of people that stayed a long time in the league. You did something wonderful. Whenever people wonder if they had an impact on the world, you know that you had some. So I'm assuming you're doing something similar to all these high school chess players too.
Well, I tell you something. Well, first of all, thank you very much. And in terms of, that's why I set up the website, because I wanted to keep the chess league history of it. We've been around for 22 years.
Were you there for the beginning? You were there for the beginning?
No, actually, I was in. I dropped in about 2004, and I put together the website in 2006. Yeah, what happened was I wanted to keep everything together, the stats, and I didn't like the way a certain company wanted to make the website. So I said, screw it. Let me do it from scratch. So I learned HTML and all that. And I mean, it's not a fancy site.
But it doesn't need to be. It doesn't.
No.
And that's I mean, that's amazing that you kind of repeated history, that you did it. You did it with ESSOM, and it's like Steve said, it's very difficult to overstate. How important a foundation you set. So it's great that you found another place to apply it.
Yeah. Does the league have a website or?
Nope. If you'd like to use your HTML skills.
Oh God.
The Fall League
That's 50 some odd years. I don't know.
The Fall League does have a website, where the draft is all added in, and the rosters, and I'll send the link. It's also kind of, more of a 1990s style website, but it
Sounds
has
like
the
mine, yeah.
Constitution, has the
If you have a
Constitution.
place, a single archive, that would definitely be worthwhile. Yeah.
I have boxes that Harold, you sent me at some point, I guess when you left the league or something, you know, I have boxes of documents and newsletters that we remember we would mail them, print them and mail them out.
Oh, yeah.
Everything, you know, so I have boxes and boxes, mostly from the 90s, plus Harold, whatever you sent me, you know, and from time to time, I'll go through it, and if I see something really juicy, I'll post it. But
I still have a couple of boxes in my garage. I was trying to get one to Dave at one time when he was the commissioner, but it never happened, I don't think. Or did I get one to you?
You did send me a few old newsletters, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I still have to go through the boxes. Most of them, I think, are my own score sheets from my teams. And
Paul, if
I have
you
the
have
box of all the statistics from the 69 National League season that we played. I came across that. That's out in my garage too.
Paul, if you find
Every score
the
sheet and all
original
the
draft list from 74, Paul, if you find that someday, you know,
that'd be great.
Send it along.
Well, again, it would only be for the Zodiacs. I didn't have the whole.
Hey,
I see.
Every little bit helps.
Whatever you find.
Yeah, very good.
I put a couple links in the chat on that Lords of Baseball game if anybody's interested.
I grabbed it already. I already opened up the link so I don't lose it when this closes out. Well, if anybody wants to keep chatting, I can leave this open, but I'm going to need to step away. But
same here. I'm going to step away too. I think. I mean, does everybody feel that they got a good chance to reminisce and to speak and to listen? I mean,
oh yeah, this was great. I mean, I'm glad
it
you guys
was
had
really
it.
good.
And
I knew we were going to go longer than 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah,
I knew that.
No, because I thought that perhaps Zoom would just shut us down after 45 minutes.
Luckily, no, I paid, and in fact, I told Steve that because it used to at 40 minutes, and I just paid for a full license for work purposes. In fact, one of my clients asked me to, so, and
there you go.
So
just
as of about a month ago, I've had unlimited use. In fact, I'm not sure we would have even had the dial-in numbers. Oh, which actually, yeah, we didn't even wind up needing. Everybody actually managed to connect by video.
Yeah, it was great.
Which also means it's easy enough to do again. Even if I can't make it, if anybody wants to, just let me know. I can.
Thanks to Steve and Glenn for getting me.
Mainly Steve.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great day, everybody.
Take care,
guys.
Thank you.
Stay well.
Bye.
Take care.